How did I choose psychiatric nurse practitioner as the specialty I would train for? Keep watching. I'm going to show you the process that I used and how you can use it to find the best nurse practitioner specialty for yourself. Hey, my name is Rick. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner student and a registered nurse working in the emergency department. So why did I choose PMHNP as my nurse practitioner specialty? Well, there are a lot of reasons, and I'm going to tell you about all of them and how I got to this decision. I'm doing this video in part out of encouragement from David Warren. David is another nurse practitioner who's currently going through CRNA training, and he has a YouTube channel as well. If you haven't seen his channel, I really encourage you to go over there, subscribe. He has some great information about becoming a nurse practitioner. And part of this video is partly about the process I used and partly about why I picked this particular specialty. And the way I picked it is probably not the way you think. So if you're thinking about going to nurse practitioner school, if you're just getting started, if you're already in nurse practitioner school, this video is for you. And let me state this too. I'm not going to try to convince you that you need to become a PMHNP. I'm going to tell you why it made sense for me. But what I do believe is that this is the process you ought to use to decide what nurse practitioner specialty you're going to go into. Don't worry, I've put all this together in a checklist that you can download. Just click on a link that's in the description and you can go and download this whole process in a checklist. This process will give you the perfect blend of your interests, your passions, and practicality as far as your career is concerned. So here are the 5 steps that I used to pick my nurse practitioner specialty, which is psychiatric nurse practitioner. All right, number 1, the first step is you have to have an underlying foundation of wanting to help people. And I'm assuming that that's where you are. This should be an easy step for any nurse because why else did you become a nurse? Nurse practitioner takes it up a little bit of a step higher. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do more than I'm doing now as a nurse. And I could see that in the role as a provider. So that's really the first step. You have to decide that this is the direction you want to go. Yes, there's more pay as a nurse practitioner, but you also have a lot more responsibility. As I've said before, the stakes are much higher when you're dealing with patients as a nurse practitioner than they are as a registered nurse. So step number 1 is you've got to believe that this is the step you want to take. You've got to believe that you're going to help people more and that this is what you want to do in your nursing career. All right, so the second step, step number 2, and this is what I did, is I started, when I started thinking about going to nurse practitioner school, I listed all of my interests in healthcare or what I could do as a nurse or a nurse practitioner, the things that I was really interested in, that I would want to spend a lot of time learning about and certainly spend the rest of my working career doing. And that ranged everything from holistic medicine to neuro to cardiology to psychiatric and other things. So I just kind of made a list of all the things that I was interested in that I felt like I would have a passion for and an interest in pursuing as a nurse practitioner. All right, step number 3 is to determine your resources. Now, you know that becoming a nurse practitioner is going to take time and it's going to take money. You can write a check to get it done. You can get loans, try for scholarships, all that. Anyway, you need to take inventory of your resources. How are you going to pay for it? Do you have the time to put into it? And are you going to have the time to work in it? I did a video, and I'll post it up here at the top here, about being an older nurse and going into nurse practitioner school because there's some different considerations you have to make. Yes, I have the time to go through the training, but I also want to make sure I get a return on investment of the time and money that I'm putting in. And if you're trading time for money, which is what we do for an hourly wage, then you're going to have enough time in your career to work to make all of this pay out. So take an inventory of that. Take an inventory of your finances and your funding to make sure that the step is going to make sense for you. Step 4 is to assess the demand for nurse practitioners in the area you're going to work. And I mean the geographic area. It could be where you are now, or if you're planning to relocate to do this, whatever it might be. Assess the demand for the nurse practitioners in that area. Now, how do you do this? Well, what I did is I went to healthcarejobs.work. I'll put a link up here and in the description. Healthcarejobs.work. I typed in nurse practitioner, then I typed in my location, and I hit enter. And what that did is it gave me a list of all the open nurse practitioner jobs in my area. So that told me what kind of nurse practitioners were in demand. And I began to see, the certain areas of nurse practitioner specialty that had more jobs listed. Sometimes it told me what the pay was for those jobs, but it helped me build a list of the kinds of nurse practitioners that are in demand in my area. And then step 5 is I put all that together. I looked at what my interests and passions were. I looked at what specialties corresponded to that in the area of nurse practitioners. I looked at the needs in my area, and then I overlaid that with my resources to achieve it. And that, for me, came out to psychiatric nurse practitioner. So let me give you an example of how this worked with me. So I looked at cardiology nurse practitioner. All right. So that is typically a family nurse practitioner that has a higher level of certification for cardiology, and it's going to be a few years down the road. So that was real interesting to me. But in my situation, what I found is, number one, my area is saturated with family nurse practitioners. There really wasn't as much opportunity for me to find a job as a family nurse practitioner in this area that I'm in. So I knew it was going to be an uphill climb to get to that point. Then I was going to have to spend several years doing that to become to get my cardiology chops and certifications. And then I didn't see a whole lot of openings in my area for cardiology nurse practitioners. So even though I had an interest in that, and even though it's a good field to go into, it wasn't practical for me. So I moved on to another interest I had, which was psychiatric, and found that the confluence of all of those things, the need, my resources, my interests, and especially that was available, came to PMHNP, and that's where I am today. So that's the process I used. And if you want to get this process and use it yourself, you're more than welcome to. I went ahead and put together a little checklist of everything that I've talked about here. You can follow this checklist to come to your own decision. Just go to the link below in the description, click on it. It'll take you to a place where you can download that checklist. Use it, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. I can certainly modify it if you think there's another way that we could approach it as well. So if you got any questions about this, please put them down in the comments. If you like this video, please like it. I hope you'll take the time to subscribe. That really helps the channel and helps get this information out to other people that might be in the same situation. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all of you who have already subscribed. It means so much to me that you're doing that. And I will see you in the very next video.